Sometimes in life you have to identify toxic influences and cut them out. And today, I'm doing just that. From today on, I'm not going to be watching any more YouTube. Now to clarify, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to be making any more YouTube videos. I'll still be doing that. Potentially even more so now. It doesn't even mean that I'll never watch or engage with YouTube ever again, because I actually might still watch YouTube videos from time to time, but likely very infrequently. What I'm saying here is that I want to make my YouTube habits far more healthy and almost never engage with the site. Let me explain what I mean in today's video. So first, let's start with the reason for my decision that's probably most relevant to this channel. YouTube obviously very much invades your privacy. Every single video you watch, they know about. And since YouTube is quite a personal experience, that can be a problem. The content creators that you watch really can say a lot about you as a person. But if you can believe it, privacy is actually a very small part of why I'm not going to watch YouTube anymore. You see, YouTube has kind of become my go-to thing when I'm bored. Or sometimes when I'm not even bored. Even as I'm writing this script, I feel a sort of pull to go onto YouTube and listen to something in the background while I write. I begin and end my day with YouTube. As I said, it's kind of the thing that I do when I'm bored. As a result of this, YouTube has become incredibly unhealthy for me, as well as very much a time sink. Now, here's a controversial opinion that I have. Having things that you impulsively do when you're bored isn't necessarily a bad thing, as long as the thing that you're doing is actually healthy. So for instance, if you impulsively go on a walk when you're bored, or impulsively study when you're bored, that's fine. Now, certainly it's better to not have impulses like that, but also we're all humans and are, as such, creatures of habit. So having impulses is kind of inevitable. In fact, I would argue that those impulses are important. If you sit with your boredom for long enough, it's those impulses that'll make you get up and do something productive. Which is, by the way, why boredom is important. So really that's what I want to do. I want to take those bored impulses and do something more beneficial than just watching YouTube. I want to take up reading, I want to study another language, and I want to continue to watch actually mentally enriching TV shows and films. Those are all things that I could be doing, but don't because I'm wasting time on YouTube. Even something like listening to a podcast would be better for me than watching YouTube, while still providing the same experience and value. Since podcasts typically deliver much more worthwhile content, and it's generally just a more deliberate process, since you have to manually add what shows you want to listen to, and you don't get directed to listen to more in quite the same way that you do with YouTube. Honestly, even something like playing video games would be more worthwhile. I know that some YouTubers in the Linux and free software space really have it out for video games, but frankly, if you think that playing video games is personally enriching, then it's absolutely fine to play them as long as you do it in moderation. To be honest, the main problem that I have with YouTube is that it's often a whole lot of nothing. Now don't get me wrong, there are thousands of awesome creators on YouTube, and without all the amazing Linux content creators on the platform, I wouldn't be here making this video today. But for every worthwhile content creator that I get something out of, there are also 100 content creators that produce what I call nothing content. That is to say, content that is entertaining but ultimately meaningless. I'd estimate that probably 85% of the content that I watch on YouTube is like this. I don't walk away from watching it having learned anything new or having had any lasting enjoyment of it like I would with a good song, book, film or TV show. I just forget it and move on to the next video that YouTube hands me, which is not only incredibly bad for me and a waste of time, but it's also an incredibly wasteful way to treat content. I particularly want to emphasize that last point. There was a time where people would remember much of the content that they consume for quite some time, and there are even films from 100 years ago that we still talk about today. This YouTube video that you're watching right here, this will be lost to the ether, and you'll almost certainly have forgot about it by the time you move on to the next video. That's just how YouTube treats content, unfortunately. So, what do I want to do? Well, in short, as I've already covered, I want to cut myself off from YouTube and instead do things that are actually meaningful. And if I'm gonna consume content, which I most certainly will, I'm human like the rest of us, I want to consume content that is actually meaningful rather than watching nothing content for hours on end. So after this, what will my relationship with YouTube be? Well, I'll still upload videos to the site for a start. That's definitely a valuable use of my time. I also might very well still watch videos on the site, just in a far more deliberate manner. I'm only going to go looking for videos if I very specifically want to see something. For instance, a tutorial on how to do something that can't be explained with a text guide. I might also make a limited account, possibly on Invidious, that is only subscribed to content creators that actually provide me with something worthwhile. But for now, I think it's best to go completely cold turkey and not watch anything at all. So for now, no YouTube for me. And maybe it'll be the case I find that I don't need YouTube at all. You never know. I do hope that that's the case. One of the things that I'd like to do before I end this video is to put out a message of encouragement. If your YouTube habits are like mine, consider cutting YouTube out of your life. Trust me, you don't need it and nor do I. This obviously doesn't just apply to YouTube either. If you have another toxic time sink in your life, cut it out. It just isn't worth having. Now, I know that this video was rambly and disorganised, but frankly any video of this nature is gonna be. It really is my head to the script. But I hope that at the very least I could give you some food for thought and maybe even inspire you to make some changes in your life as well. I also just want to say that I don't necessarily intend to pressure people to stop watching YouTube. I know that videos like this always have a sort of preachy air to them, and can often seem like the video's creator is trying to present themselves as having some kind of moral superiority. But that's not what I'm trying to do here at all. Everyone is on their own journey in life, and if part of that journey for you is watching YouTube, then you should absolutely keep doing that. I'm sure there are many people who find that their YouTube experience is perfectly healthy, and they find that every video they watch has in some way enriched them. And that's absolutely fine. Heck, maybe you're even someone who just doesn't care that they're wasting time, and in some respects, I can respect that. Finally, I just want to say before I end this video, I do have a PeerTube channel. So if you just want to watch my videos in a way that's less insufferable than YouTube, well, first I have to say that I'm absolutely honoured, thank you. But also second, my PeerTube is a good option for that. So yeah, in conclusion, that's it for today's video. Cut out any toxic influences and live your best life. I'll probably be back later to let you know how this not watching YouTube thing is going, but for now, as always, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.